Life had never been easy for David. Born into a poor family in the small town of Eldridge, he struggled to make ends meet. His father passed away when he was just a child, and his mother did her best to raise him and his siblings, but the weight of life's hardships seemed unbearable at times. Despite his best efforts, David found himself stuck in a never-ending cycle of low-paying jobs, sleepless nights, and loneliness. He always dreamed of a better life, but it felt like the world was against him. One evening, as David wandered through the town, burdened by thoughts of his bleak future, he met someone who would change the course of his life. The man was Pastor Samuel, a charismatic and compassionate figure who had recently moved to Eldridge. Pastor Samuel offered David a warm smile and struck up a conversation with him. He talked about faith, hope, and transformation, and David was drawn to his words. Samuel seemed to have the answers to all of David's questions about life's struggles. As the days went by, David found himself visiting Pastor Samuel more frequently. They would talk for hours about life, the Bible, and the power of faith. The pastor promised David that if he truly wanted a better life, he would need to embrace the full potential of his faith. Samuel spoke of a secret, deeper knowledge that would open the doors to wealth, success, and power. David was intrigued, and the pastor assured him that there was a way to access this power. One day, Pastor Samuel invited David to meet an elder who could help him unlock the next step in his spiritual journey. "I want to introduce you to the Grand Witch," Samuel said. "She is the one who holds the key to real power. Only through her initiation can you truly transform your life." The promise of transformation was too tempting for David to ignore. He felt like this might be the answer to everything he had been searching for. Reluctantly, David agreed to meet the Grand Witch. The journey to her hidden location was long and eerie, but Pastor Samuel assured him that it was necessary for his growth. When they arrived, the Grand Witch welcomed David with open arms, and she spoke to him of the ancient, secret powers she could offer. She told him that by joining her path, he would gain wealth, influence, and the ability to perform miracles. All he had to do was pledge his loyalty to her and accept the initiation. David, desperate for a better life, agreed without fully understanding the consequences. The Grand Witch initiated him into the dark practices of the cult, and David was given access to powers beyond his wildest dreams. Almost overnight, he became a different person. His health improved, his charisma grew, and soon, he began to attract a following. People from all over the town came to hear David preach, drawn by his newfound charm and abilities. His church grew rapidly, and his financial situation took a drastic turn for the better. He became one of the wealthiest men in Eldridge, and life seemed to be everything he had ever wanted. However, as the power continued to consume him, David started to realize that there was a price to pay. The dark powers he had gained were not without their cost. The Grand Witch, whose influence over him remained, began to make demands. To maintain his healing powers and the success of his church, David had to make sacrifices that grew darker and more horrifying with time. First, it was small offerings, but as the cult's demands grew, the sacrifices became more personal. David found himself in a twisted and unbreakable cycle. Every time his powers waned, he was forced to sacrifice someone close to him to keep his position strong. It was never enough. Each sacrifice only led to more, and David could feel his soul slipping away. He became consumed with guilt, fear, and despair. The once joyous, charismatic man was now filled with darkness. The power he once sought became his greatest prison. He was unable to escape the haunting grip of the Grand Witch, who relentlessly pursued him whenever he tried to break free. Desperate and broken, David tried to run, but the witch always found him, using her powers to track and torment him. He realized that no matter how far he went, he was forever bound to the cult. In a final act of desperation, David confessed his dark deeds to the entire town. He gathered the people in the church and admitted to them the horrible truth of his rise to power, the lies, the sacrifices, the manipulation. His words were met with shock, anger, and disbelief, but amid the hurt, there were whispers of forgiveness. The townspeople, though bitter and hurt by his betrayal, saw his sincerity and pain. They decided to pray for David's redemption. In a powerful deliverance service, the community gathered, lifting their voices in prayer, and with the help of true spiritual guidance, they sought to break the chains of darkness that had trapped him. The pastors and elders of the town led David through a process of repentance, deliverance, and baptism. As David emerged from the water, he felt a weight lift from his soul, a weight he had carried for so long. The witch's grip over him weakened, and as the community continued to pray, she vanished, unable to hold him any longer. David was free. Though the scars of his past remained, he now had the chance to rebuild his life. He worked alongside the community, rebuilding trust and dedicating himself to helping others who were lost or struggling. David's story became one of redemption, a tale of a man who had fallen into the darkness but found his way back through the love and forgiveness of his community. He became a true man of faith, not one who sought power or wealth, but one who sought healing, restoration, and the service of others.